Welcome, guys, to one more episode of Nova Talks. Today, we got Isaac Gordon with Breakpoint Booking. That's what it is.
Breakpoint Booking. That's
Awesome. Pleasure to have you on, brother. Please introduce yourself.
happy to be on. Yes, my name's Isaac Gordon. I own a company called Breakpoint Booking. We're a boutique talent agency based out of Beverly Hills. We work in music, comedy, speaking. We also do brand deals. And the hope and goal in the future is to move into sports, film, TV, commercials, and print. One of very few black-owned agencies in the U.S. Uh, Really wanting to make a splash and be a little bit of a disruptor in Beverly Hills and in Hollywood. Wish me luck. But yeah, we have agents all over the U.S., agents in SoCal and New York, Chicago, agents overseas now in Germany and in Singapore. Yeah, just happy to be here and talk a little bit about AI and about what we do.
Awesome, brother. So, can you break down what a talent agency is for those who don't know?
Absolutely. So what we do is we represent celebrities, musicians, comedians, pretty much anyone that can move and sell tickets, and we help to build their box office history. We help to bring them um, more revenue and really just bring them work, keep them working and moving.
That's awesome. Man. How long have you been in business for?
We're going into year eight coming up, but we just celebrated our 5 year anniversary
Nice.
on the beach in Newport Beach. Blame it on the pandemic, but we're still alive and looking forward to a 10-year anniversary.
Congrats, man. That's a huge milestone. And just to be clear, this is your brand, your company.
That is correct. Yes, I started this company in 2018. Prior to that, I worked for another agency, but I have been really dedicated and involved in music since I was in high school, and so this is just kind of a culmination of all of that.
So, you must have some talent yourself. I'm assuming you play instruments or were
I
you an
was a hip
athlete?
hop artist myself.
Oh, you were an artist.
Yeah, I was a hip hop artist. I also produced. I was really good on Cool Edit Pro, which was turned into Adobe Audition in the later years. But that's what got me into my radio job was being really good in the studio and just cutting up things. But I used to record all of my friends and other rappers in the city. We also produced. Had a Korg Triton and all sorts of different instruments and things that we would produce. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a passion since I was very young.
Awesome. So tell me, man, who are some of those idols you looked up to? Who'd you emulate? Were you more of a Tupac or Kendrick?
I have so many favorite hip hop artists. It's hard to rank them or even put one on top of the other. But I would say definitely East Coast, heavily East Coast influence. Listened to a lot of Wu Tang when I was young. A lot of Redman, a lot of EPMD. My man Keith Murray, things like that. I was really into that scene, but I also lived in Akron. I'm from Akron, Ohio, so very heavily West Coast influenced city. A lot of uh I would even say the music that came out of there was more West Coast than East Coast. So I got a real healthy balance in my youth.
Great, man. Yeah, that's okay. You're from Akron, but you're working in Beverly Hills, California. That's what it is.
That is correct. Yeah, our office is out of Beverly Hills, but I'm from Akron, Ohio. Yep, just like LeBron.
Okay. That's dope. That's dope, man. So let's bring it back. I would love to know sort of the origin story. First and foremost, congrats. 8 years in business is a huge feat. That means that for the past 8 years, you've been able to sustain yourself and survive, and not just survive and thrive. And that's not something that, the majority of people can say. So hats off to you. But definitely bring us back. What got you started and why?
In music in general, or just or in the agency.
Let's talk about music in general and then the agency. I think that's good.
Um, Music in general, I'd probably say it was my sister, ever since I was a baby, because they were older when I was born. I got two older sisters. They were 19 and 12 when I was born. And so they just basically took care of me and they loved music. They would play everything from Michael Jackson to Madonna to Prince. They love Prince, huge Prince fans. To Devo, because they were out of Akron, to Chrissy Hines and the Pretenders, to Oh my God, why am I forgetting her name? Anyway, lots of music influences from them, and even my brother-in-law. The very first gift I got from someone outside of my family was from him, and he gave me a 45 Beastie Boys, Paul Revere. That was my first record, and I don't know. Just from there, I was just always they were a heavy influence on me to love music and really. And then I was an MTV generation kid. I was born in '79, so they just parked me in front of the cable TV all day. And I would watch things like Nickelodeon. I would watch things like MTV music videos. I would see people like who was on there back then, Kurt Loder and whoever else. And I just fell in love with. I fell in love with Today's Special and all those kids music TV shows on Nickelodeon. And then I went to a Crisscross concert when I was like 7 or 8 or 9 years old at the IX Center in Cleveland. And I remember being fascinated by the people in suits that were behind Crisscross and just kind of helping them get up on stage and do what they needed to do. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Yeah, even as a young kid. But then I got into rapping and thought that I wanted to do that, but then found my way kind of back around through radio and managing, and it's just always been a theme, I guess you could say. I did
Absolutely.
at one point want to be an electrical engineer, but that did
Oh
not
wow.
last very long. I was really into electrical engineering and architecture, but that did not last that long. The music kind of took over.
There's something about older sisters and music. I don't know how to explain it. I have an older sister myself, and I got into a lot of music that I didn't think I would ever, even listen to.
Right?
She's the reason why I know any R&B song from the early 2000s, and in the 90s, and then also getting into it was a big emo punk rock phase in the early 2000s, and I know a lot of those songs because of her as well. Shout out to Big Sis.
That's the influence right there to have you up dancing as a baby to listen to these songs on repeat. And then, my mom, and I should mention my mom and dad, they had a radio in the kitchen, and it was always parked on a WZAK, I think it was a 93.1, I can't remember. But, just radio, song after song, all through the house, like when I was a kid. So it was never a time where music wasn't a part of growing up or being in the house in some way, shape, or form. So.
So then how did that transition into you starting your own talent agency?
I never wanted to start my own talent agency. I wanted to be an A&R and a manager and do all of those things, which I did. And I actually started a management company first. I started that in 2009, and just started managing artists in and around Philadelphia, and just really, really fell in love with that side of the business. But when I decided to leave my radio and TV career and go back to school to get into music, and once I graduated college from Full Sail University, I ended up interning. So I moved to New York City, cashed out my 401k, went up there and started interning. I interned, I did two internships. I interned under TV and under music. And the TV was a talent management position, working in film and TV, theaters, plays, things like that. The lady that I worked for, she managed people like Ben Platt and Lorraine Bracco and Adina Menzel, and this was during Frozen, so it was a really, really a lot to learn from during that time. People like Christopher Nolan would call our office and all of that, and I would be answering the phone like shaking. And my other internship was for a talent agency, and so that was kind of my introduction to the my first professional introduction to working in music. And I really just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the processes, the nerdy, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, being on top of everything approach that goes along with being a talent agent. And it just really matches up well with all the things that I do like about the corporate world. And I'm really weird because I like email and I like spreadsheets and all of those things,
I do
unlike most people.
too.
And so, yeah, it just I just really fell in love with it and kind of took it and ran. The agency that I worked for I ended up, and the lady I worked for, her name is Heather Reynolds, and that company is One Entertainment. The agency I worked for is Universal Attractions Agency, and I learned a ton there from a bunch of different people. But it was a situation where I just really, once I put my mind to it, I was like, this is it. This is where I want to be. Very similar to when I went to the Ohio Center for Broadcasting, and I got valedictorian there just because I was so passionate about it. Same thing at UAA. I was just, in there at 9 a.m., out of there at 10 p.m., and just working as much as I could, and ended up winning two awards. I won regional agent, best regional agent in 2015, and best regional agent in 2016. And then moved to California, helped them open a West Coast office. But I really was in talent management. I had moved this kid in to live with me, and was really focused on trying to get that band up and moving. And so it just, I kind of drifted apart from the agency while even having this sort of baby agency that I didn't even think would grow into anything. And then, but between those two things happening, I ended up just saying I need to leave, and just went out on my own. And it was probably the scariest thing I've ever done, but it just kind of felt right. And so that's kind of what I went with. I went with my gut. And yeah, that was 2018. But we were seated probably before that. I was getting a lot of just great demos from talent, and I couldn't really do anything with them. So a lot of them ended up at my management company, being booked by people who were helping me intern with my clients. And so that's really how the company formed. And some of those early acts were like Taking the Bangers and Lost Dog Street Band, and a few others that kind of went and kind of helped grow the company until later when we found acts like Harry Mack and Benny the Butcher, things like that. Just kind of, we became that agency to kind of help developing acts get to that next level. And so that's why we came up with the name Breakpoint. And then, like I said, in 2018, officially went into business and kind of been running, doing what we can ever since.
Man, you definitely seem like a very accomplished man. Lots of successes, lots of high waves there, but we all know, although you won the Full Sail, it definitely wasn't full smooth sailing, right?
Oh, no.
Sure of
Yeah.
that.
No.
But walk us through some of the early challenges, or even any specific roadblock that you faced that you remember that you'd like to share with us.
Um, Roadblock that I faced. Probably just, I would say, getting laid off in my first radio job. That was really deflating. It was 2004, and the job moved me from my town of Akron, Ohio, out to Westchester, PA. And the job was going great. I was production director of this radio station called WCOJ, and station just kind of didn't do all that well. Basically, after a lead sales guy went to Comcast, I believe it was, and just didn't really catch on the way. And it was just a newly acquired station by a corporate entity, and they ended up having to lay a lot of people off, and I was one. But the guy that laid me off, and I'll never forget, his name is Lloyd Roach. He reached out to WDEL and Rick Jensen, sorry, and asked him to give me a job because he moved me out there, and I was, he didn't let me go because I didn't do a bad job, and he felt like he needed to do something to help me out. And Rick took me in as a board op, and I basically had to work my way back up in radio from board op, and I did. I worked my way back up from board op to traffic director, and then yeah. But that was about a good 10 years of radio and TV and commercial programming and radio sales and production, and but I learned a lot from that career. It really taught me a lot about corporate America, and how to prepare yourself for those sort of settings and environments, and all of that. So.
So how would you compare those challenges versus the ones that you face as the face and the CEO of your current brand?
I think that with a challenge like being laid off and going into, having somebody help you to get into another job, but really being deflated and thinking like I got to start over again. That's a little different because other people have a lot of people go through those sort of things. And so I could look to a relative and say, "Oh, you've been laid off before. How did it feel?" That sort of thing. And that feedback and that reliance on them understanding and having been through the same thing kind of helps. As a business owner, literally, you cannot really see around corners. You have no idea what's going to happen, and you don't really have a lot of people that have been through which to be able to tell you what to expect. So, I would say those are the two big differences. Is that being a business owner is like it's like Russian roulette. You don't know what's going to happen from day to day. And you just have to take it as it comes and handle it as the best that you can, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's Russian roulette, but there's five bullets in the chamber instead of one. A lot. It's and you mentioned a great point. There's not a lot of relatability. You don't have many people to turn that you can reference. At least not many within their own current network, and
Yeah.
that proves difficult because you're just walking in the blind, walking with a blindfold, navigating waters you've never tread. So it is incredible to see kind of your experience, but I mean that hasn't held you back. You've been in business 8 years. Um, What's that one moment where you can kind of recall where you went through your own break point in your talent agency?
Probably recently, because I had no idea that this company would even continue to function. When the pandemic happened, and past that, the earlier like 2021, 2023, that was like those were rebound years of just kind of seeing what was going to work. And I was serving on the side. I was serving at BJ's and at TGI Fridays, and then trying to put as much time as I could into booking on the side. And so I would say probably last year, when I was able to walk into the office at BJ's and talk to my boss and say, "Look, I think I'm going to do this and go all in on my company, but I need to know I can always come back." And he was like, "You can always come back, but you're not coming back. And I hope to never see you again, in the best way possible." And so I think that moment kind of made me say, "Okay, this is it," sort of thing.
It's a great boss for sure, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting to know that where you were headed towards, you no longer have that security. There's no security blanket. It's like
No, no. I mean,
it's
outside
do
of
or
my
die.
Yeah, thank God for him. But no, and no, that's the awakening as an adult. And recently I just lost both of my parents, so that's a moment too where you kind of feel like I'm an orphan out here, and now I got to stand on my own shoulders, sort of thing. And I think not only am I realizing that, my older sister's realizing that with the family. They anytime something comes up and they're like, "Wait a minute, I can't call my aunt, I can't call my mom, I can't call my dad. I guess I got to call myself." And so we always laugh at that now. Is like I think it's that realization of, yes, you got to step up and be the sort of elders in the family now, and you got to step up and be an adult and be out on your own and make it work.
Sure, man. My condolences to you and your family. Appreciate you
Yeah, I
sharing
appreciate
with us.
that. Thank you.
Wow. But I like to shift conversation a bit over to technology. I would love to know what you've seen, how the landscape has changed for you within your vertical, and if there's any, how can I best put this? Has the advent increase of AI made any difference within your space and what you do?
Absolutely. I would say it's definitely helped in, note taking. Every meeting that we have, we get AI notes now, and they're actually pretty good, repeating what we went over. So that's pretty helpful. I think additionally, just the writing, helping with different email pitches or press releases. Not having to, I used to send a lot of my articles and things that I wrote to my older sister because she was an editor. She That's her job, and she would edit all my papers for me. But now I could just run them through Gemini, and that speeds up the process. So I think that as long as you are able to figure out how to insert certain things that are new into, like you said, your vertical, it kind of keeps you fresh. So I like to be an early adopter. You know, I'm the one that will go out and get the first new phone or whatever that is. I can't wait for the iPhone flipped or the flip foldable one to come out. And so I'm really into this, trying to be an early adopter to AI and just seeing how I can even more so integrate it into what we do as talent agents.
So is AI music something you explored? I know that's a thing. It was a thing for a couple years now.
You know, I just saw Timberland sign AI artists. You know, I love Timberland, but I got to tell you, please stop. Yeah, we need to keep art and more creative. We need to not. There's a lot of creatives out there that are starving. We don't need to start giving money to robots. So that's really how I feel about it. But at the same time, it's hard for me to limit creative expression as well, and so it's kind of a catch-22. But I am on the side of right now keeping AI out of music unless it's enhancing a human creative in some way, shape, or form, and not replacing a human creative. But maybe that's just me.
I think you make a valid point there. I definitely agree that AI technology in general should be supplementary. It shouldn't replace anybody. Or, I mean, I guess in some instances, if it's a lot more efficient than maybe in certain very specific scenarios, but overall, it should help augment humans, augment the people utilizing it, rather than annexing them and removing them entirely. Because then what's the point?
Exactly, exactly. And I think that with AI too, talent discovery has been helpful. I did forget to mention that we do use different platforms, and they have AI embedded in them to help us search out trending artists, things like that. And so I think that that could be super helpful in terms of artist discovery. Maybe the AI gives you an opportunity to find someone you normally wouldn't have found on your own. And so that's something I really like about it. But just like you said, replacing I already don't like that there's less cashiers at the grocery store. So don't get me started. I'll start sounding like an old man.
Hello, work. That makes me wonder, how would you feel? So right now, you like it as a filtration system, essentially,
Absolutely. And as an aid,
as an aid.
as an assistant, yeah, absolutely. And just as long as it's not replacing.
Yeah, as long as not replacing the full human, for sure. But now that it makes me think, what if you had the ability to put your hands on a technology that allows you to import your sound? You're looking for a specific sound, right? You're a talent agent. And it's like, this is what I'm into right now. It's garage, right? Looking for garage house. And you put in several samples, and then what the AI would then go and do is find similar sounds across
Great.
the database. And
Yeah,
then you
that'd be
can
great.
then personally listen and reach out to those people after you've done your research. But it help you filter throughout the entire list of all different types of music. Is that something you think you would utilize?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Listen,
That's
I
great.
don't know. I might have to have you write an NDA at this point because I think that's a great idea.
That would be great. I mean, that's kind of like when you're listening to a song and then you use the app to hold up, listen
Oh,
to it.
Shazam?
Thank you. I'm old.
There you go.
And then it tells you what song it is. So it was kind of the reverse of that of here's the song, find me who sounds like this. Yeah, I would love that. Because that would even help me on my playlist discovery.
Hey, listen, all I asked was 5% of royalties. Not too much. I think it's
You
still
better not put this one out.
Gosh, anyone listening, 5%. You heard it here first. Anyway, but that's incredible, man. And as things continue, hopefully you're in business for as long as you're alive. I think you can do it.
Appreciate that, man.
Uh,
Thank you.
but with that comes the ability to adapt, change. As this continues to grow, your industry can change in a number of ways that we can't even explain. Um, how difficult do you think that'll be for you? Has that been a problem for you before, adapting and changing to the landscape?
No, not at all. Like I said, I'm an early adopter. I really love looking at new technologies and just seeing how they can be used early on. And it's also important for me when I'm scouting talent and looking to bring people in to hire people much younger than myself that know what's going on so I can get those perspectives now headed into my 50s from somebody that's, early 20s. because that really helps, you know. So no, I am very much open to trying to be as adaptable as possible and change as much as possible.
Yeah, I guess there really is no other option at this point in time. All I
Ah,
can do
can't be static. Don't be static.
is be static, right? I think that's a hindrance in any walk of
Yeah,
life and anything you do. If you're afraid of change, then you're also afraid of growth. So you can't be stagnant.
absolutely.
Yeah. Is there one piece of advice that you'd like to give our listeners? I know it's kind of cliche, but if you had some words of wisdom to share, what would that be?
Oh man, stick to it. I think that you can probably do anything you want if you just really put your mind to it and stick to it and go after it, and really show it and give it real dedication. I see a lot of people who want to do things and then other things get in the way. Hell, I've been one of those people. And I think that you got to figure out ways to push those things out of the way and go after things if you really, really want it. So I guess that would be my advice is try to, and I think that'll help you live in your purpose, which is my whole belief as to why we're here is to just, um, you know, be brave and go for it, take chances, and no regrets.
No regrets indeed. Appreciate the message you have for us. Isaac, where can we find you?
We're online, breakpointbooking.com. We're also on IG and Facebook and X and YouTube and all of those places. You can get to those places from our website. We just put up an article today. We celebrated our 5 year to 7 year anniversary. And we're also doing a new partnership with Pete Rock. So, really excited about that. See what dates and work we can bring for the legendary DJ. And yeah, just look for us online. Look for the tours, look for the ticket sales and tickets that we have on sale. But definitely connect with us either through the website or on IG.
Isaac, pleasure having you on, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. I need to get out more. So thank you for bringing me out.
We'll be talking soon.
Okay.
All
Take
right.
care.